Are you finding it tough to put your faith in others? It's possible that previous letdowns have led you to become wary of expressing your true feelings and thoughts to those around you. You might be perpetually analyzing people's underlying intentions, always on the lookout for hidden agendas beneath their amicable exteriors. Does this sound familiar? If it does, this could be a sign of deeply rooted trust issues. Trust forms the core of any relationship, whether it's personal or professional. It acts like an unnoticeable adhesive that binds relationships, and in its absence, relationships can disintegrate rapidly. The inability to trust can originate from a spectrum of reasons. It could be the fallout of a traumatic experience that has left a deep emotional scar, or it may be due to past betrayals that have shaken your faith in people. Surprisingly, it can also trace its roots back to your childhood, where your initial experiences might have shaped your belief in people. Acknowledging these signs is the essential first step towards rectifying them. In this session, we're embarking on a comprehensive exploration to 10 revealing signs that hint at you potentially struggling with trust-related problems. We aim to shine a spotlight on this crucial, yet often neglected component of human relationships. We are committed to assisting you maneuver through your interpersonal relations in a healthier and more informed manner. Moving forward, we will be diving deep into the 10 telltale indicators that you may have trust issues. We aspire to shed more light on this frequently disregarded dimension of human relationships. We hope this deeper understanding will aid you in identifying and addressing any trust issues you may be experiencing. The first sign that you're grappling with trust issues is that you're always expecting the worst. This trait has the power to permeate every aspect of your life, presenting itself in various forms and degrees of severity. It may begin as small, seemingly insignificant expectations of disappointment, such as anticipating your morning coffee to be subpar, despite the barista's proficiency. Gradually, these sentiments may amplify to major life events, where you might find yourself questioning your partner's faithfulness in spite of their unwavering devotion. Subjects of your mistrust aren't just limited to those in your immediate circle. Strangers, acquaintances, or those you've not yet met can also become targets of your skepticism. The second manifestation of trust issues could be your struggle to place faith in the goodness and dependability of those who are closest to you. This can include your friends, family, and loved ones. Are you always armored against disappointment, even when the environment is brimming with joy and optimism? Do you scrutinize their intentions, their spoken words, and their actions, assuming a hidden agenda beneath their surface actions? Could your mind possibly be crafting complex narratives of doubt, disloyalty, and deception, even when confronted with uncompromised genuineness and candor? Another indication could be your increased difficulty in trusting those who you barely know or have not met yet. Do you automatically conclude that unfamiliar individuals will fall short of your expectations? Are you prone to dismiss the potential for kindness and magnanimity in others simply because you fear the pain of disillusionment? This incessant premonition of deception, of being failed by those around you, can be a considerable emotional drain. It invariably casts a gloomy and dense shadow over your interpersonal relationships, marking them with the acrid flavor of doubt and negativity. This perpetual state of vigilance, of expecting the worst from those around you, can lead to feelings of isolation and loneliness. If these signs resonate with you, it may indicate that you're dealing with trust issues. The first step towards healing is acknowledging the problem. Secondly, the struggle to build close relationships can be formidable. This is an issue that may lead to substantial emotional hardship. The reason being that as humans, we are inherently social beings. Our evolution as a species has wired us to crave for the company of others, to strive for societal harmony. This penchant for camaraderie drives us to establish connections with those around us, to nurture bonds that grant us a sense of acceptance and belonging. More often than not, this camaraderie manifests itself through the formation of intimate relationships. In such relationships, we let our guard down and pour our hearts out, sharing our thoughts, feelings, and experiences in an environment free of judgment. Nevertheless, the realization of such relationships is heavily dependent on one key ingredient: trust. Trust is the bedrock of any relationship of substantial depth and meaning. Lacking trust is akin to building an extravagant mansion on a sandy foundation, precarious and eventually doomed. Trust serves as the cement that binds the bricks of a relationship, a silent agreement that encourages us to let our guards down and be vulnerable, thus paving the way for us to be our most authentic selves in the company of another. However, if you find yourself dealing with trust issues, the task of building relationships transforms into an uphill battle. a formidable challenge. The experience becomes analogous to a blindfolded journey through a labyrinth, disorienting, frustrating, and utterly draining. Trust issues function as invisible barriers, inhibiting your willingness to open up to others, thereby hindering the formation of meaningful bonds. Instead of serving as bridges, uniting you with the rest of the world, trust issues erect walls that isolate you from those who genuinely care about you. Hence, the formation of intimate relationships becomes a struggle, a battle against one's own inhibitions. One significant sign is the perpetual state of defensiveness. It's as if there's an unending wariness within you, a towering barrier that you've meticulously built around your emotions. This wall is reminiscent of a solitary wolf existing in the wilderness, perpetually alert, scanning the surroundings for potential threats that might not even exist in reality. Your mentality appears to be more like a fortified castle, perpetually ready for the direst of situations, with a looming expectation that the world bears you ill will. In our lives, it's quite natural to exhibit a degree of defensiveness. It is a fundamental, deeply ingrained survival instinct that shields us from potential harm. However, when you find yourself perpetually on the precipice, your physical state in an unending mode of fight or flight, it suggests a much deeper problem. It's equivalent to leading a life on a war-ravaged battlefield, even when you're miles away from any tangible form of danger. There might be instances where you find yourself at an elevated level of alertness, your heart pounding like a drum at the faintest hint of conflict. A harmless comment from a friend might trigger your defenses, leaving you feeling unjustly attacked, when in reality, it was merely a friendly exchange of words. Your eyes are perpetually scanning for signs of antagonism in the faces of those who surround you, be it friends or strangers. The physical manifestation of this mental state can be observed in your body language. Your shoulders are perpetually stiff. Your fists are constantly clenched, ready to fight an imaginary enemy. Every single word that you hear, every action that you observe, is perceived through a lens of threat. Even the most innocuous of situations can seem like a battlefield filled with hidden mines to you. This predisposition to be eternally on the defensive could have its roots in past experiences that have left deep emotional scars, from traumas that you may not have completely healed from. It could indicate that you're projecting your own insecurities onto others, assuming the worst-case scenario due to your uncertainty about your own worth or position in the world. If you find yourself constantly ready to either fight or flee, it could be a sign that you're always expecting others to harm you in some way. This could stem from a deeply ingrained fear of others, or a lack of trust in their intentions. Your mind is constantly on high alert, always looking for signs of danger, even in the most peaceful of situations. Fourthly, the concept of self-sabotage can be a complex issue. This is an internal conflict, a trait that an overwhelming number of individuals carry with them, often without realizing it. But what does it mean to self-sabotage? It's a behavior that can take on numerous forms, both overt and covert, and its presence can sometimes be unassuming, yet it has the power to wreak havoc on your life. You may find yourself in situations where you let golden opportunities pass you by, missing the chance to grow or succeed. Or even more troubling, you might be the one sabotaging your own success. The thought of achieving success can feel daunting, stirring up feelings of apprehension, fear of change, or dread of the unknown. These unsettling emotions can be the catalyst for self-sabotage, its impacts reflecting in ways that may not be instantly apparent. One prominent way you may self-sabotage is through pushing people away. This distancing could be rooted in the fear of rejection, often operating as a defense mechanism to circumvent experiencing pain or disappointment. The people you push away could be friends, family, or potential romantic partners. Anyone who attempts to form a close bond may be met with resistance. Another prevalent form of self-sabotage is creating problems that are entirely figments of your imagination. It can be a baffling behavior, fabricating invisible barriers to your own progress. You might often catch yourself second-guessing decisions, overanalyzing possible outcomes, or pinpointing faults where there are absolutely none. This conscious or subconscious creation of hurdles is a type of self-imposed roadblock, effectively halting you on your path to achieving your full potential. It's important to remember, becoming aware of this trait and fully acknowledging its presence is the initial step towards conquering it. And with persistent effort and time, you can master the ability to halt these self-sabotaging tendencies. From resisting the urge to push people away to curbing the habit of formulating problems that don't actually exist, it's all a part of the journey towards self-improvement. The fifth sign you should look out for is a lack of emotional intimacy. Emotional intimacy, contrary to popular belief, is not just about the expression of love or affection. It encompasses a much broader spectrum. It's a significant issue, almost like a barrier invisible to the naked eye that stops us from communicating our true feelings to those that matter the most in our lives. It's a hurdle that is not just mere routine, but one that significantly hinders the growth and evolution of any relationship. You may find yourself questioning, why expressing my true emotions feels like an uphill battle? Why does sharing my feelings seem akin to climbing Mount Everest? The answer to these perpetual questions lies in our primal need to safeguard ourselves at all times. The human race is a species driven by survival instincts. We are perpetually on our guard, always prepared to protect ourselves from potential harm. The fear of emotional pain or rejection could be so overwhelming that it acts as a self-imposed prison, locking us within our protective shells. This fear hinders us from showing our authentic selves, our raw and unfiltered emotions. Emotional intimacy is more than just sharing moments of joy or happiness. It's about reaching a comfort level where you feel safe enough to lower your defenses and share your anxieties, fears, and vulnerabilities. Emotional intimacy is knowing that there is someone out there who will support you when you're in pain, someone who will lend an ear when you're distressed, or someone who will simply sit with you in silence when you're at a loss for words. It provides a sense of security that allows you to reveal your deepest, darkest secrets without the fear of judgment or ridicule. However, if you find it challenging to break down the walls you've built around your heart, if revealing your true self seems like an insurmountable task, then it's a clear indication that you're grappling with emotional intimacy. Why does this occur? The reason could be a fear of vulnerability and the potential pain that can accompany it. Point 6, you may encounter a significant obstacle in the form of difficulty accepting help from others. This experience is not exclusive. It's shared by a considerable number of individuals at various junctures in their lives. The root cause for such a predicament can range across a plethora of reasons, born out of diverse circumstances. It's far from a rarity for individuals to grapple with a sense of unease when it comes to soliciting or accepting assistance from others. Such unease typically originates from a deep-seated sense of pride or a strong desire for independence, which can hinder their capacity to receive help. In some instances, this hesitation might be triggered by mistrust or skepticism towards the intentions of those offering assistance. You might find yourself questioning their motives, wondering why they are so willing to extend their help. Could there possibly be a hidden ulterior motive lurking beneath their seemingly altruistic actions? Are they expecting something in return? Is there a clandestine agenda? Is their offer of assistance truly driven by the goodness of their hearts, or is there a catch waiting to unfold? Such doubts can often engender skepticism and distrust, which in turn fuels a reluctance to accept the offered help. In other scenarios, the obstacle might be due to the fear of obligation or reciprocation. The prospect of owing someone a favor in return can be daunting. This fear can paint the acceptance of help as a binding contract, a contract of indebtedness that might feel overwhelming or even impossible to honor. The terror of being saddled with a debt can erect a psychological barrier, a mental blockade that actively thwarts the acceptance of help. However, it's paramount to remember that accepting help is perfectly all right. Assistance from others shouldn't always be viewed as a transaction that demands a return favor. More often than not, people extend their help out of unadulterated kindness and genuine concern for others. It's crucial to conquer these deeply ingrained fears and suspicions and cultivate the ability to accept help when necessary. After all, every one of us at some point or the other will require a helping hand to navigate through the labyrinth of life. Lastly, the fear of obligation is a significant deterrent that prevents us from reaching out and accepting the help we so desperately need to grow and flourish. Regardless of the fear, it's of utmost importance to remember that help isn't always a transactional exchange, but often a genuine and heartfelt act of kindness. The 7th sign is always needing to be in control. This trait can manifest in various forms, ranging from micromanaging every aspect of your life to being overly critical of the way others handle tasks. It might feel like an inability to step back, to allow others to take the lead, or to trust others with responsibilities. This isn't just a minor characteristic, but an all-consuming desire to keep all reins firmly in your hands, having a say in every major and minor decisions, and being perpetually involved in all happenings. This trait often stems from a deep-seated fear, a fear that is often multifaceted. This could be a fear of losing control, which may stem from past experiences where you felt helpless. Alternatively, it could be a fear of the unknown, the unpredictability that comes with allowing others to share responsibilities, or even a fear of being taken advantage of, driven by past betrayals or disappointments. It's a protective mechanism, a survival instinct that keeps you in a constant state of alertness. You're always on guard, always looking around, scanning the surroundings, checking for any signs of danger or potential threats. If this description resonates with you, you probably struggle with the idea of depending on others. Trusting others might feel like an uphill battle, almost impossible, as you may have trust issues deep-seated from past experiences or fears. You might question their abilities, their intentions, or both, doubting their sincerity or competency. You might feel an incessant need to be the one who makes the final call, who has the final say in all matters. This characteristic, however, can often be misunderstood by others. It can be seen as being overbearing, pushy, or domineering. This misunderstanding can cause strain in relationships, both personal and professional, create friction at the workplace, and lead to unnecessary stress for you. It's a trait that has its roots in fear and insecurity, but it often presents itself as strength and determination, creating a facade that hides the underlying issues. Real strength, however, lies in acknowledging this trait and making a conscious effort to work on it. It's about understanding that everyone has their unique strengths and weaknesses, and that it's okay, indeed beneficial, to rely on others. Trusting others doesn't make you weak or vulnerable. It's a testament to your strength and confidence. It's about finding a balance, about learning to let go, to trust, and to share responsibilities. If you're uncomfortable with the idea of depending on others or having to trust them, you might tend to control everything yourself instead. Even if it means taking on more than you can handle, even if it brings you stress, you choose to be in control rather than facing the discomfort of relying on others. But remember, it's never too late to change this mindset and to start trusting, depending, and sharing responsibilities. Eighthly, you may grapple with the debilitating feelings of unworthiness. This emotion often shrouds itself in the form of self-deprecation, a harsh inner critic, and a recurring nagging thought that you're not up to par. Interestingly, this is not just a personal feeling, it's a societal problem. Our society, unfortunately, amplifies these feelings with its relentless advertising and media messaging of unachievable perfection. These incessant messages further deepen the belief that we are inadequate just the way we are. Your days might be consumed by overanalysis, scrutinizing your words, actions, and even your fleeting thoughts, pondering if they align with what society and others view as worthy. You might assess your worthiness through a warped lens that amplifies your flaws and completely dismisses your strengths. These feelings aren't just momentary, they could be deeply rooted, trickling down from adverse childhood experiences or past relationships, leaving you feeling undeserving of even the most basic human rights, such as love and respect. The adverse impact of this sense of unworthiness can be far-reaching, seeping into every aspect of your existence, causing significant damage. It may cast a shadow over your relationships, making them strained and unfulfilling. It can lead to dissatisfaction in your professional life, preventing you from reaching your full potential. Moreover, it can even trigger mental health issues like anxiety and depression, significantly impacting your overall well-being. You might find yourself living in a perpetual state of self-doubt, constantly seeking validation from others to fill the void within. The hard-hitting reality is, if you don't instill the belief that others will value you for your authentic self, you might continually question your worth and feel undeserving of love and respect. It's a vicious cycle that you might find yourself entrapped in, but in the end, it's crucial to remember that your worth is not contingent on others' perceptions. You are enough just as you are, irrespective of societal standards or others' opinions. Our ninth topic of discussion is the fear of commitment, a complex and deeply rooted fear that heavily influences the lives of many. This fear acts like a dark, ominous cloud that hovers above, constantly casting a shadow over your life. It dampens your zest for life, your capacity for love, and your ability to connect with others. This fear of commitment can be likened to standing on the precipice of a cliff, looking down into the vast and frightening unknown below. The thought of taking the leap into the unknown can be terrifying, leading you to question if the potential gains are worth the perceived risks. Finding yourself amongst those who fear commitment can be quite distressing, but it's important to remember that you are not alone. This fear often exhibits itself in our inability to make decisions or to be definitive in our choices. It can render us in a continuous state of indecisiveness, which can make us question not only our ability to trust others, but also our ability to trust our own judgment. Such fear can create a sense of isolation, causing individuals to feel alone even when they are in a crowd of people who genuinely care about them. We must also take into account that the fear of commitment isn't solely restricted to the realm of relationships. This fear has far-reaching implications, impacting every life decision we make. It could be a career choice that needs to be made, deciding where to live, or even selecting a hobby to pursue. This fear can serve as a barrier that prevents us from making decisions that could potentially lead us towards happiness and fulfillment. People who grapple with a fear of commitment often find themselves trapped in a self-perpetuating cycle. In a bid to avoid potential heartache or disappointment, they may decide not to take any chances. They may prefer the familiarity and safety of their comfort zones, not daring to venture out and confront the risks and uncertainties that life presents. Despite the heavy burden this fear can impose, it's crucial to remember that, like all fears, it can indeed be conquered. The journey towards overcoming this fear begins with acknowledging its presence. Once acknowledged, if the fear is so severe that it's significantly impacting the quality of your life, seeking professional help might be a viable next step. Being afraid of being hurt often leads to an unwillingness to commit to anything or anyone. This is the 9th sign, the fear of commitment. It's a crucial signal that you might need to face, confront, and overcome in order to lead a more fulfilling and satisfying life. The final 10th sign of emotional distress is the tendency to nurture resentments, to hold grudges. This characteristic can often be elusive, subtly lurking in the deep recesses of your heart for prolonged periods. It can be likened to a smoldering ember, which could appear insignificant initially. However, when it gets the necessary fuel, it can burst into a vigorous, destructive flame. You may not even be cognizant of its existence in the early stages. It can be spurred on by seemingly minor events, a casual remark, a brief encounter, or a familiar face, that can unleash a flood of dormant emotions. The hallmark trait of individuals who cling to grudges is their prodigious memory. They meticulously catalog each instance of perceived offense, every cutting remark, and every act of betrayal. Not only do they commit these incidents to memory, but they also replay them repetitively in their minds, incessantly revisiting the associated pain and anger. This is in direct contradiction to those who adopt a more forgiving attitude. These individuals choose to liberate themselves from the weight of past hurts, ready to embrace the present and eagerly anticipate the future. Nonetheless, for those neck-deep in grudges, the past isn't merely a memory. It's a living, breathing entity that continues to shape their present experiences and undoubtedly their future. This unhealthy attachment can express itself in multiple ways, from explosive emotional outbursts and tense relationships to a pervasive sense of dissatisfaction with life. Further complicating the matter is the potential impact grudges can have on physical health. Research findings have indicated a potential link between nurturing negative emotions such as anger and resentment, and elevated stress levels, high blood pressure, and other health complications. It's crucial to clarify that maintaining grudges isn't necessarily a deliberate decision. Many times, it's an involuntary response, stemming from a deep-seated sense of injury and betrayal. Recognizing and ultimately discarding these grudges could require substantial introspection and emotional labor. The difficulty in forgiving and letting go might be an indication that you are still tethered to past offenses and betrayals. It is essential to address these lingering issues to pave the way for emotional healing and growth. In conclusion, trust issues can manifest in various ways. One of the most common is always expecting the worst from people around you. This is when you always anticipate others to disappoint you, which could stem from past experiences or deep-seated fears. Trust issues can also lead to a fear of commitment. This usually happens when someone is afraid of getting hurt or disappointed again, so they avoid. Then there's the tendency of holding grudges. Holding on to past hurts or betrayals can make it to let go and trust again. These are signs that you're dealing with trust issues. Recognizing these signs towards overcoming trust issues, it's crucial to be aware that you're struggling with trust. This awareness is essential because trust is such a vital aspect of our lives. It forms the foundation of our relationships and interactions with others. It's okay to struggle and to seek help when dealing with trust issues. Trust issues. You're not alone in this battle. Many people grapple with similar issues, and there's comfort in knowing that you're not the only one dealing with this. There are resources available to help you navigate through this journey. Therapists, support groups, books, and online can offer guidance and support as you work on overcoming your trust issues. Overcoming trust issues might not be easy, but it's worth the effort. The rewards are immense. You'll be able to form deeper connections, experience healthier relationships, and live a more fulfilling life. You don't have to stay isolated because of trust issues. So, take the first step today. Acknowledge the signs and begin your journey on the path to rebuilding trust. After all, without trust, we're all just islands, isolated and alone. Trust connects us to others and allows us to live more interconnected and enriched lives.